us now look at some examples, okay? So the first example says, compute the value of an investment 8 months before the maturity date that earns interest at 6% per annum and has a maturity value of, so the maturity value, or S, or the future value of an investment is this much, okay? So in other words, 8 months, if you invest this thing for 8 months, you end up with this value in the future, okay? Or that's its maturity value. And this is the amount of interest that you were earning. And it's asking us, if that's the case, what is the value of that investment? So in other words, what's the principal amount? Okay, and in this case, the principal amount will also amount to the present value, okay? Because principal that you have invested today, that is your present value. The value of your investment today is your present value, right? So let's look at what they show us here. So we get S equals 884, which is the future value. R equals 6%, the rate of interest, which ends up being 6 over 100, which is 0.06, and T equals 8 months, so it's going to be 8 over 12. Now all they do is apply this formula that we just came up with here. P equals S divided by 1 plus RT, principal or present value equals S over 1 plus RT. And you end up with P equals S over 1 plus RT, and you just plug the numbers in, 884 in place of S, 1 plus 0.06 times 8 over 12. And when you solve and calculate, you end up with $850. So in other words, the present value, or the principal amount that you need to invest today at this rate and in this amount of time to get this amount of money, is actually $850. So in other words, if you invested $850 today, if that was a present value of your principal amount today, and you invested it at a rate of 6% for 8 months, you'll end up with $884, okay? So let's get more clarity. Let's look at another question. What sum of money must have been invested on January 31st, 2020 to amount to $7,500 on August 18th, 2020 at 5%? So this is obviously the rate of interest, so 5 divided by 100, 0.05. And this is the time from January 31st to August 18th. We're supposed to calculate that. So remember, we don't calculate the last day, so it's going to be 17 days of August. And February, March, April, May, June, July will be all completely, we'll add all of those, plus the 17 days of August. So when you add all that, you end up at 200, because 2020 is a leap year, so February equals 29 days. So in other words, it's February equals to 29, March equals to 31, April equals to 30, May equals to 31, June equals to 30, July equals to 31, and August equals to 17, right? So 29 plus 31, 60, 60 plus 30, 90, 90 plus 31, 121, 151, 182, right? And 182, 192, 199, okay? So we end up with 199. And it's January 31st, sorry. So we have to add 1 day for January. So that ends up being 200 days, okay? So that's 200 days. So you just plug it into the principal or present value formula, P equals S. So the future value of the investment is $7,500. So you just plug in $7,500 divided by 1 plus rate of interest 0.05, 200 over 365. You multiply them all together and you're left with $7,300. Okay, so you basically need this kind of a principal amount invested at this kind of rate of interest at that amount of time period, the 100 days, to get this kind of future value or maturity value for your investment, okay? So boom, very good. Well done, well done, well done. So let's see if you have another example here that we can work through. Okay, no, we don't have any more examples, but we can work through some of these questions. So let's try question 1. What is question 1 asking us? Question 1 is asking us, what principal will have a future value of this much at this rate in 5 months, right? So it's asking for the principal amount or the present value, and the future value S is already given, 1241.86, and the rate of interest is given 3.9%, and 5 months, so time equals 5, so 5 over 12, right? And so all we have to do is plug it into our present value or principal formula, so P equals 2. What is our formula? S divided by 1 plus RT. What is the value of our S? Well, it's 1241.86, 1241.86, divided by 1 plus, so 3.9% would end up become 3.9 divided by 100, right? So that would become 3.9 divided by 100, multiply by 5 times 12, right? And when we calculate all that, let's see, what do we get? 1241.86 over 1 plus. So let us use our calculator. So 3.9 times 5. So these two will multiply, will be 19.5 divided by 100 times 12 is 1200, right? So you divide it by 1200 and you add 1 to it, and you get, what do you get? Well, you get 1241.86 divided by 1.01625. And so what we do now is 1241.86 divided by 1.01625, and boom, you get 1222.00. Okay, it's dollars. So dollars. So this is the kind of dollars. So if you'd invested roughly $1,222, you know, then you would, at this rate, 3.9%, then 5 months ago, for 5 months, you end up with 124.86. Or if you ended up with 121.86 and you had invested your principal for 5 months at this rate, then that means the principal that you originally invested was roughly this much, 1,222. Okay, 0.00.